where would you trade him? Like, you hold his rights. It's not like he has a no trade clause.
Right.
Like, you really own his rights.
Right.
So where would you trade him? Like, what do you think his value would be?
Maybe somebody who just flat. I don't know. Another flat worlder. However, what you do? The world is flat.
We do not know for sure what the world is.
Education. That's how education works there.
He was thinking outside the box.
Outside the box.
Yeah, that's what we do now.
There's a lot of people that think outside the box. But I mean, who would you trade for? Like they spoke about before, you could trade him to Philadelphia, which you're not going to do because that's what they division. You could trade him out west. Play for Portland.
I'm glad you brought that up.
You know what I'm saying? You could trade him Portland.
I want to trade him to Portland.
Or you could trade him to LA.
That's what I want to talk about. Could you imagine 1-for-1 with Westbrook?
Yeah, but the question is, would KD want to play with Westbrook?
At this point, you can't pick and choose. What KD going to do? Retire? All he wants to do is be ashy and play basketball.
Yeah,
I mean, you literally reunite the Thunder. You reunite the Thunder.
You really think that it worked this time?
I think it would work because everybody's in a different headspace.
Okay.
And for LA, you get a Kyrie who LeBron knows, and despite what people think,
I already got a daddy.
He does have a daddy. I wish his daddy would have stepped up and told him, son, you're handling things a little bit wrong. But he got a daddy. But
there's a lot to
do
it, though. When you speak about that, we come at that point. I mean, yeah, I believe it could work. But the question is, where's Kyrie's head at? You know, he's in the mind to play basketball because of what's going on in the world. Because basically that's why he really, at one point, he was saying that he wasn't going out. He was other things going on in this world that I have to take care of. World hunger.
Honestly, I think he's just lying.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. I'm glad everybody, because I agree. I definitely, not even lying, but
no, I think, call it a lie.
You call it a lie? Well, I'll leave it on. You stuck on that.
No. The reason why I call it a lie is because
man.
When you really look at what he's saying, it doesn't add up.
No, it don't add up.
And my thing is this: like I tell people, I don't care what you do with your life, but don't lie to. Just tell the truth. Just be like, you know what?
But you know what goes back to?
What's that?
His people, as in his family, his friends, put him up on that pedestal. Mm-hmm. And they, Kyrie, he's not on there. He's an excellent basketball talent. Oh, he can dribble. Because the first everybody talk about is his handles.
Yeah.
Best handles in the league, whatever. That's cool. He got a decent shooting percentage, excuse me.
And a losing record.
Exactly. A lot of people don't see that. Everybody looks at the Kyrie win.
He's not a winner.
Right. When LeBron showed up. Mm-hmm. Think about it. He really didn't win in Duke.
He didn't win at Duke. He didn't win in Cleveland. He didn't win with Boston.
He won in Boston, right?
And he didn't win with the Nets.
No, he's not winning with the Nets.
So the point is that he's not a winner, but he has this mentality that everything begins and ends with him.
Right.
That's why I said he's lying. He gets if you give a person a choice, they always get you a choice. If the Nets would have fined him, I believe he would have been playing. Or he would have got the shot. But you decided to pay his salary. What I don't like is that the narrative he's trying to push is I'm doing this for regular people.
No, it's not this for regular people.
You're not doing nothing for regular people because you're still getting a paycheck. You're getting an abundance of money.
He's even made his money, actually. He's made his money. They say he made over $100 million for one. So he's been set.
Exactly. So how are you sitting out, still collecting game checks?
Because my next question would have been, like you said, how you collect game checks? Are you going to take these game checks and give it to the people?
So that's where I was at. I was like, if you really about this life, you could have donated your money. You could donate your salary. A lot of players did that, especially when they was in the bubble. They donated their salary.
Exactly.
But yet, you the only one that don't think of stuff like that. And people be like, well, he like to do things behind closed doors. Well, sometimes, we had this conversation.
Right.
But when you put your foot out there like that, sometimes those behind closed doors that you do, you need to make public.
Right.
And that he's the one, I need to know everything. Now, I know he got a show where he's fixing up homes for the less fortunate, and I seen that show. But I need to see you doing, because what you have done is you have created this is this enigma of I'm great.
You're great.
I'm great, and you should follow me.
Right.
When in reality, you haven't done nothing for us to follow.
That's so true. That is true, man. So,
all right. So now we're going to slide it into our subject because people who are always fashionably late show up. Tell them who you are, Mel.
Somebody that needs to not go out on Friday nights. I am Victoria.
See?
Hi, everyone. I'm Victoria, Coach V, of course, with New Thing Life Coaching, and also with God is Love Incorporated.
you was out coaching Friday night.
Ciao.
Oh, okay. Let's go. Now, I'm not sure.
First of all, I need you to fix your face.
So, I don't know if you ever get a chance to check the show we did on what night we got together.
It was Wednesday. I don't think she got it, but I did send her the question.
The question. Okay.
You sent me a couple of questions.
Yeah,
Okay.
but we're going to do the...
We're going to focus on the main topic, I guess. You want to go ahead and spit it, or you want me to do it?
Yeah, you go ahead and spit it.
All right. So,
jeez.
the subject was... Correct me if I say it wrong. Basically, what are our successes as a family? Am I saying that right? I mean,
He
what
changes the subject so many
It
times.
does, but this time we actually stuck to the subject this time. It's more or less where
I was
Okay.
bamboozled.
that's good though.
No, Friday night was bamboozling.
Did you not tell me that I need to start doing more for myself?
I did.
And going out?
Yeah. But
I went
business
out.
is business.
I went out.
Okay.
She was handling business. on
11
Friday
o'clock,
night.
you should be in.
Huh?
Yeah.
Look, we got a show. We got a show. Look. All right, look.
I don't even know if I want to go live or not.
Come on.
All right. So, and what I mean by that is, how does the successes, as far as our goals as an individual and as a family? You might want to be wordy because you too, you too, man.
So what
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so... And it does still line up with the question I sent you. So, our individual, how can we make our individual goals match or mirror what our family goals are, so the individual goals doesn't remove us from our family goals?
Right.
You know, a lot of times you come in with what you want to do individually, but how can that still mix in together with a family and making time for both? Because a lot of times people will wear all these hats, and then you ain't making time for your family. Like, I'm too tired to cook. Well, then you need to give up something, because your first priority should always be your family.
Oh, no, you did not.
Yeah, but in my line, is that biblical?
Oh, jeez. I can't today with this.
Is that biblical? I mean, if I'm lying, please tell me.
I'm sorry, is there a scripture in the Bible that says you have to feed your family like every night and
Every
get it
night,
done?
see,
And
why are we taking nights off? If we won't roll,
first of all,
are you going live?
I was trying to, but then I couldn't even get started because you already just completely interrupted everything at this point.
Well,
So-
go ahead and go live.
No, but so here's where I have a problem. Here's where I have an issue. And again, like I said, in my relationship with, I'm trying to go live, but you're messing everything up at this point. In the relationship with my children's, I'm probably not even whatever, I don't even care. But like with my children's father, that was an issue that we actually had at some point. And like I said, no, we were not married, but I remember, of course, we were together. We already had a 2 and a 4-year-old at that point. We were both working full time. I was also in school full time, working on my accounting degree. So that was already 6 different classes at that point. I don't care. I was still coming in every night after leaving work, still in work clothes, going straight to the kitchen, cooking dinner, cleaning up the kitchen, giving the kids a bath. Yes, still having sex, all of the good stuff. Being completely honest, because that's just what I do.
All that 24 hours?
Exactly. Superwoman. Like, I definitely had S on the chest, okay? I remember the one time that I asked him, hey, can you give the kids a bath tonight? Like, I'm tired. He was mumbling under his breath. You would have thought I asked him to just, like, go out and chop down some trees or something.
That's what you should have done. Ask him to chop some trees down.
But for him,
You know what I mean?
his whole thing was just kind of like, really? Like, I was like, what are you mumbling for? Like, what is the problem? He's like, my daddy ain't never gave us a bath. Okay, I'm not sleeping with your daddy. What is the problem?
Oh.
He's like, I'm just saying, like, I mean, my daddy ain't never gave us a bath. What's your problem? Why can't you do it? I was like, the one time I'm tired. Like, I've been working. I have a 6-course load right now. We have a 2 and a 4-year-old. Like, I still came in here. I cooked. I cleaned. I did everything. I'm just asking you this one time to give them a bath. Right. I'm tired. He's like, you complaining about stuff your average woman does with no problem. I was like, oh, okay. So that's why I don't like that little comment, question, whatever it was. That
Why you took it personal?
Why did I take it personal? Because it personally happened to me.
No, but see, you took it personal, but I didn't say no gender or anything. You literally personalized that without. I didn't even say gender. Did I say gender?
No, it doesn't matter about gender. No, because we can remove gender from the whole situation. It wasn't even so much whatever. But if it was him and he was like, oh, well, I typically do this. This is the one time I'm asking you to handle. It would have been fine. I would have done that as well. But the issue being, that's why I don't like the. I need you to break down this question some more.
So I think in a sense is, should there be a discussion when it comes to goals? I think, and in my belief there should be. Should there be a discussion of what your goals are in the beginning, from the very beginning? And
duh.
Okay. Got the duh part. All right, so you agree. All right, so my question
absolutely.
So do you feel that should certain goals be focused on immediately? Or how do you think goals should be, should an individual, should somebody be willing to put their goals on hold?
No.
Both. It's on both parties? All parties.
This is why goals need to be discussed in the early, like the dating and relationship stage and before even getting married at the end of the day. Because you have to see, how does this person's goals line up with my goals?
Right.
And if we were to ever, go and decide that we are going to proceed in a relationship, a marriage, are these goals going to work together? Is there ever going to be a problem at some point on his part, my part, whatever the case might be? So if I know that my goal is to do, something huge or whatever inside of Charleston in the next 10 years, but this guy is sitting there saying, oh, well, I know I'm going to be doing mission trips and whatever else. And obviously we have two completely different things. We don't need to be together. So you need to discuss those things beforehand.
You mean to tell me that you should be working on your goals at the same time?
Not only that you should, but you have to just figure out, okay, what is his goals? What are my goals? And then from there, deciding, okay, then do we need to be together or not? Because some people can have completely different goals. Now, again, if one person is saying, oh, well, I'm willing to put mine on hold while you did it, that's something different as well. So I think it all just kind of depends.
I think it should be overall discussion. I don't think she never say, because, and this is what when I think he's sort of like on the same line. My thing is, you should never. Goals, in a sense, do determine the kind of person you want to be with. I think because anybody can have goals like, oh, I want to make $1 million. My thing is, are your goals reasonable?
Okay.
Are they reasonable goals? Are they? What's the word I said? Are they reachable?
Reachable.
Smart
and
goals.
Attainable.
Yes, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound. Yeah.
And my thing is, no, necessarily your goals shouldn't have to be alike. At the same time, your goals should never. Because it should never, if you decide the dynamic is going to be a husband and wife, you decide to be a family, it should be able to be in the mix of that. Because you got to have families, goals not only as individuals, but as a family, as a couple, I
think as you said, it definitely depends on what kind of goals.
Right.
So, because like you said, okay, my goal is to reach $1 million. Okay, do you have a plan? What are your goals that's a long-term goal. Right. What are your short and medium-term goals in order to see that happens? Because now I get to decide, okay, are you about to be putting a whole lot of time, energy, and effort into something else that collides with my goals or that I don't agree with or whatever else? Because again, that's still like, even with knowing a goal, I need to know your plans to get to that goal. I need to know what is your time frame on that goal, because I might decide that don't work for me.
What if you love them? What if you feel that they're the one? Remember, Tori, the one?
I don't believe in the one, first of all. I don't believe in the one.
You're gonna take their name on and carry it with you from that point on down the road. And no,
I don't believe in the one. And I can Tina Turner said it best. What's love got to do with it?
So you have two husbands.
I'll have 10 husbands if I can. I'm just kidding. No, seriously, I mean, no, it's just one of those things. I'm kidding. But no, seriously, like I said, I don't believe in that whole, like, there's the one. The one is whichever one you choose. And if you choose wisely, then the one is whatever, y'all share the same values and your goals are going to whatever together. So as far as that's concerned, like, I don't care. I've walked away from guys in relationships, even though, I can love you, but I might realize, okay, we don't need to be together. Deuces.
Okay.
But that's not the topic at hand. Back to the whole story.
Yeah, that's not the topic at hand. Yo, it's not the topic at hand.
My Sean is too quiet over there.
He's let you talk. It's just like I'm saying, man. It's never because. And then man, you just had a good night last night. She had a good time, man. Look.
Yeah, and the show's like go to bed. Next question. Fix your face. Fix your face, because I know you got more questions in your head. What else? What's going on here?
So I do have a question, and it's something that I heard within you talking. When does the family goal come into play? Because at the end of the day, the family goal supersedes any individual goal. So when does that come into play? Because when you was talking, you kept it as me, and if your goals don't match my goals, well, what about the family? What about the goals of making sure that we raise children properly? What about the goals of making sure that the house is maintained? We could reach our goals individually. There's a lot of people who reach their goals individually, and then they get divorced. Or they got mistresses and stuff, because where does the time come in at and saying that, hey, we could build on each other? Because it makes no sense for, and I'm using this as an example, you wearing 10 different hats and everybody gets your service, but when you come home, you tired.
Right.
I mean, that's stupid.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that's what we see a lot of people doing. I'm not going to gender specific, but that's what we see a lot of people doing. So you're no good to me. And why would you want to waste my time when you know that every 5 months you're going to put on a new hat? I don't need you servicing the pastor. I don't need you servicing any of these other outreach ministries. I don't need you servicing your job. I don't need you servicing your other things you're doing. You doing all this, and then when I come and say, hey, can we spend time while you cleaning? Or can we spend time, I got this going on. Nothing should supersede me in that house.
With the house.
And that's why I'm asking. When does your goal stop to say, you know what, I am not giving into this. I am not doing my part as a person in this relationship. And I either need to bail or I need to relinquish something, because at the end of the day, if this is a person I want to build with, then I need to put the effort into it to build.
Good question. I see what you're saying. I don't like it or agree with it, but I see what you're saying. So as far as that is concerned, we're going to just go with the whole, people always, relationships are 50-50 and whatever. No, whatever. There are some days at the end of the day that one person might have to carry the weight of the other person. There might be times where this person is tired or they're weak or they're lacking or whatever in one area. It is up to my partner to have my back. It is up to me to have their back. That's just how that's going to go at the end of the day. So again, even going back to my example, even with what you just said, one time out of all this time, so if I'm still coming home and I'm able to cook and clean and take care of kids, make sure you are good to go, still having sex, the whole nine, one time out of how many years that I'm tired and I just simply ask you to give the kid the bath. So I don't want to hear anything as far as, well, you're not meeting my needs or whatever else the case might be. But back to what you were even saying originally, seems like a lot of what you described, I would look at that as like family values, like, and maybe just like the norm. I don't really see those as being goals, because at the end of the day, I think it still goes back to people beforehand having certain discussions. Okay, well, what do you want things to look like? And, even within the marriage, even within having children, even when it comes to parenting and, what kind of, like, what kind of household are you wanting to run? Are you looking to, trips and whatever else?
Before you finish, now you said norms, right? And she did say norms.
Oh, jeez.
So the person she was with, the norm was he never seen his father give them a bath. So his normacy, the way he viewed it was, even though it's one time that he never seen, because that wasn't in his house. And that normal, what you think is normal You actually thought wasn't
Okay, but
going
let's
on
also
that?
be completely clear that first of all, I did not properly do my homework. We was not even supposed to be together. We was not supposed to become a family. Like, all of that just happened. So no, these are
That's
things
not
that I
fair.
know.
I don't like that. I don't like you saying that. That's not fair.
Well, no, well, I'm saying like I'm.
Because you have children. And,
Well,
and
we
with
and
this
me and my
person-
children, we have had these conversations, and
That's
yeah, we
not
have
fair.
like some jokes and whatever else as far as all of that is concerned. But no, like seriously, that was one of those things where we did everything completely backwards, and then we just happened to have children, and we happened to, of course, decide to become a family and try to make it work. But of course,
Y'all didn't discuss anything.
we didn't discuss anything. No, we didn't discuss nothing at all. Like
Something
literally,
hey,
we
just gonna do this and make it work.
pretty much. So of course, knowing what I know now, because at that point I was 19 and fell in love and made all these little, these stupid decisions or whatever. But again, I don't have any regrets. I make sure my children know that as well. It is we did the best that we could at that point. But of course, it was realizing as time went on, we have different values. We have different goals. Hell, should I say I have goals and you don't? So this is really not going to work.
Okay, but something you want.
I value different things, and when it comes to how I wanted to, run my businesses and children and just even our thing as far as like gender roles and stuff like that, expectations, we shared a lot of the gender roles and we shared the same outlook on how that should look and how that should be, but he wasn't fulfilling his part in most cases. So that's whatever as far as that's concerned. But again, I think it just still goes back to those conversations early on, because it's still talking about, okay, what is this going to look like in the household with the children? What are you working? Am I working? Are we both working? Are we taking trips? Are we doing this? Whatever else. Then you'll know ahead of time before going into it. Okay, now is it going to be a problem when it comes to who's working on their goal? Oh, well, I didn't know that you planned on going back to school. I didn't know that you planned on doing mission trips. I didn't know you planned on starting a business. These things should have already been discussed ahead of time.
And even though they are discussed, and I do agree with you, they should be discussed, but sometimes you could discuss something in the beginning and it sounds good, but later on in the marriage or relationship, rather, shouldn't you reevaluate that? Because sometimes I think people think that they can still do the same things as if they're moving single. Or if you're moving in there's a relationship, in a marriage, you have to move as one. And sometimes your goals that you come in with doesn't benefit the marriage. Because we could sit up here, for instance, I'll use this analogy. How much money is too much money to the point where you feel like it's impacting your actual relationship? How much of you being out there doing all these social events comes to a point? Because even if we look, and I'll use the Black Panther Party and the whole civil rights movement. When people found out that Martin Luther King may have stepped out on his wife, they were all upset. They were mad.
Right.
But here's the question. Where was his wife? The point I'm saying is that at some point, doing everything out there, even if you don't want it to, it gives a divide. And I'm using that as an example because that's a great example because of the fact of what he did. So even in the midst of you thinking you're going out there doing great work, you have to understand that your great work can...
Something gets sacrificed, more or less.
Exactly. What is worth sacrificing your marriage over? What is worth sacrificing your relationship over?
I mean, and nothing is, but that's definitely an individual thing right there, because it is still up to that individual, myself and like everyone, it's still up to the individual to ensure that you are not neglecting your family, that you are not neglecting, the most important things. And obviously inside of a marriage, your job should not be to neglect your spouse either. So in that case, I don't even feel like touching on this at all, but like when it comes to like infidelity and stuff like that, I've said 100, times I am completely against it. I do not agree with it. In a lot of cases, I see how it happens.
Right.
When certain things are being neglected or whatever, because again, if you have someone who's making everything, I got to make money and pay the bills and I got to do this and this person needs me and I got, the church and the ministry and, I'm a speaker and I'm doing all of these different things and I got to go be great and whatever. But if you're neglecting the person that you committed and took vows to.
So I got you. So, so for instance, back to your thing with the bath. So you think you should have, had a discussion, reevaluated everything, and said, hey, well, you did say you discussed it with him. He said it's not normal for him that the father gave the bath. And
well, the discussion happened when he was huffing and puffing after me asking. But like I said, we did everything backwards. We did not have any discussion going into it. Again, being honest, we literally I met him when I was in college. We started having sex, got comfortable, boom, I'm pregnant. What are we going to do? And yeah, and it was like, son came home from the hospital, you move in, oh, we're together, let's make this work. Boom, I'm pregnant again. Right. So again, we did everything completely backwards. Right. We did not date. We did not have any discussions. So again, and that, of course, knowing now what I know now, knowing now, if I knew then what I know now, it would have been completely different. Okay. But yeah, so we did not have that discussion as far as baths and whatever else. Now, we did previously discuss that we had shared values again when it comes to what is the man's role, what is the woman's role when it comes to children, and all of these different things. But again, it goes back to what I said as far as that whole 50-50 crap. No, it's always the relationship overall is going to be 100%, but on some days maybe I can only give 30. I need to trust that. Can you provide the other 70? Can you have my back when I am falling short, when I'm tired, when I'm weak, when I'm sick, when I have nothing to give? Because if not, then what the hell are you here for?
No, I agree with you. And once again, I never want anybody to think that that's not part of the conversation. I do believe that when a person's lacking, you should fill them up. That's your job.
Exactly. So don't have an attitude just because I asked you to bathe your kids.
But however, even in certain situations, what can I refill you if you keep pouring into everything else except the marriage? So even in the midst of saying, yes, I can refill you, it's easy to refill a person that is going to be tired coming home from work. That's understandable. Even pursuing your degree, that's understandable. But then you go into the pastor call you, you jump. The deacons call you, you jump. Or you feel like you got to go to this outreach program, or you got to go to this, and then it's like, I can't keep pouring into you.
And that's and that's what it says. So that is up to the individual to not go and try to wear all of these hats and taking all of these different things on. And again, even if that is what you are choosing to do, then it is up to you to make sure that you are still making time and doing certain things.
I think also we also forgetting the other person relationship need to sit down and say, hey, we need to talk.
Right.
True. Because like I said, we talking like with a person doing it, and it's not a bad perspective. You also keep in mind that person who's also your partner also need to sit down and say, hey, because that's a lot of times we forget to do as the partner, the other person. It's like, hold on, stop.
Right.
You doing this, you're doing that. When you have time for us, the family, you have time for me. Much less the kids. What about me?
Right, and I agree with you, and I think that conversation does happen sometimes. I think it's misinterpreted.
But yeah, and I think, like you said, because you go ahead. I'm sorry, let me cut you off.
It's misinterpreted to, you're trying to control me, or you trying to make it seem like I could do all this. Because you said something which I hear a lot. I could be Superwoman. No, you can't. There's a reason why Superman failed in life. Yeah. There's a reason why superheroes do not have relationships. There's a reason why they can't work full-time jobs. Let's keep this real. You cannot be. Wait a minute.
Tony Stark was a billionaire.
He was an alcoholic.
He still had a job though.
He was an alcoholic, and he had slept with multiple women to fulfill a void.
You got to keep it within the
No, but what I'm saying is there's a reason. There's a reason why you can't be super, and I wish black people would take away that thinking that they could do that. You can't do all things. God didn't design us to do all things. No, you can't.
And that's why I say, me even making reference to the whole soup, because that was definitely my mentality at that point. But again, I think it still also goes to, there might be those times where there might be a season where I am wearing many different hats and I have a whole lot going on. And again, it still goes back to support from the partner. Now, I do agree with you. I think a lot of times questions are not asked, or, concerns are not actually made, where it's like, hey, I'm feeling neglected. I'm not getting this. Now, of course, in my case, that was not even a problem. It was not, you're neglecting me and you're not doing this and da-da-da. You just simply was mad because I asked you to give them. I was still meeting every single need.
That's what we discussed. That was part of our goals, baby.
Like, you were still eating dinner every night. My children were still being fed every night. Like, I was still contributing to the household monthly. Like, I was still having sex, like everything. But so you just literally one night of me, whatever. But like, I do see what you're saying, but I still go back to, there might be those seasons where, again, I might have a lot going on.
A lot going on. It just should be a year-round, all the time thing.
Exactly.
And I think that's we all come to.
But if that person was like that always and ahead of time, and you still married, then that's your problem.
That's on the person. Like I said, there needs to be discussion.
Absolutely.
So, with that being said,
that brings me to my next question.
Yeah, it always does. If that distance is created, how can you still expect the same benefits from your spouse, the protection, the care, the filling in, if you haven't brought nothing back to the table? And let's be all adults here. You don't put money in the bank to not see it grow interest. You don't put money in the stock market to not see it grow. So if we smart about when it comes to building in other areas, but yeah, you're taking from the relationship and you're not putting back in, but you want the benefits. So when are you going to say, you know what, I need to be an adult and say, I can't, look, Pastor, I'm sorry. Call the other 5 women in the house that you be talking to. I can't do this. Look.
First of all, can we take this outside of fivefold ministry? Because I don't know why you keep going to the church. Can we get away from the church? I don't know where.
Okay, look, Bob. I can't work overtime because
You're not working in my church.
But I'm just saying, because honestly, you know why I use the church, and this is not funny, and this is realistic. Where do black people spend a lot of their time at? So I'm not doing this because it sounds funny. I'm doing this because realistic.
No,
you see that. So I use that. But I use other scenarios. I can't work this overtime. I can't do this project. I can't keep blowing myself out here because I'm not investing back into what keeps me able to do these things. So, like, if I have to use it, the example of we're not putting money in the bank to see it not grow interest, we're not putting money in the stock market to see it not grow. So why do we not expect the same thing with our relationships?
Because a lot of people, unfortunately, don't enter marriages because they themselves are looking to grow. Like, it's still a lot of times they just want the security of somebody else, the security of, oh, okay, at least I know that financially it's 2 people putting in, or at least I know I have somebody to go home to. So not everybody goes into a relationship or marriage with the notion of, I am here to grow or to be a better person.
Okay. I accept that. So, why get married?
Because like I said, some people do it for financial security. Some people do it for companionship. There was actually studies that were done. And when they were asked on why, I don't know what I have going on back here. When they were asked why they actually would get married. So a lot of men said that they got married because they wanted someone to love. And a lot of women, their whole thing was getting married because they wanted companionship. So, and yeah, that was, even including...
Two different words.
How? What'd you say?
Love and companionship are 2 different words.
Oh, yeah, completely different. But like I said, that's what men said for love, women said for companionship. So everybody gets married for different reasons. Some people, and even that was just the majority. That was like the majority of women, that was their answer. Of course, there were other answers. And then the majority of men, of course, that love was the main answer, someone to love. But even then, there are still many different reasons. Some people do it for religious purposes. Some people do it for guilt-free sex. Some people, again, do it for financial security. Some people, because I just want somebody to travel with, or I'm almost sick of being alone. Like, people get married for many different reasons.
Okay, I understand that. But do you think that there's a time within the relationship where y'all could come to the table and say, we need to relinquish some of these external activities so we can build on us? Because these external activities have really put a strain on our relationship to where we're scheduling time with each other. And I think once you get to the point you're scheduling time to be with someone, that your relationship has failed.
Yeah, but I mean, you're talking about, see, now we've gone from those activities, and like I said, when you start talking about activities,
well, that's still your goal.
Yeah, in a sense. But do you think about it? Is being part of the Wednesday night basketball league part of your goal?
So some people stay in shape.
You go to the gym.
That's their gym.
You go to the gym.
I mean, maybe that's what they do is exercise.
No,
that's running. I'm just saying.
But you got a very good point. But keep in mind when we're talking about goals, like I said, I mean, keeping in shape is always not a bad goal. Being physically is not a goal. We're talking about goals. Like I said, now you're talking about an individual goal. Like I said, when a lot of goals focus on us, on ourselves, like I said, we neglect our partner, our families, and I think that's what we're getting at a lot of times. And no, it's not that we should neglect or forget or let go of our goals. I said sometimes we need to evaluate what goals are attainable at that time. Is it possible to slide them goals in? Can we do this? Is it attainable? A lot of times it should be substantial as well. Like you mentioned, like you said it when we talked about earlier. Like, what's the amount of time we're willing to invest in achieving this goal? A lot of times we try to achieve that goal and we don't achieve that goal. So where's the point to say, you know what, we let this one go, maybe try again later. Let's on to the next one. See what we take turns to goals.
Well, I think also maybe like my Sean mentioned, okay, so some people, it sounds good to say, oh, well, we discussed these things ahead of time. Some people, you change, you might find yourself in a different season, you might get into that relationship or marriage and decide, okay, well, I have a new goal or there's something else I want to do. That's fine, but I think the important part is still you need to sit down with your partner and y'all need to have a discussion. Even then, this is what I want to do. Whether it's joining a Wednesday night basketball, whether it's starting a business, whether it's I want to serve on the deacon board, whatever the case might be, you still need to have that discussion. This is what I want to do. How do you feel about this? How can we make this happen? And letting that be that. Why are you raising your finger like you were in class?
Because I actually got another question. It just came out. No. And I think this is a good question. We say we talk about these goals and everything, but once you enter into a marriage, I say marriage because relationships are
that's the ultimate thing you want anyway.
Once you enter into marriage, should your goals benefit the marriage? In other words, your individual goals should benefit the marriage. Now, if that's being said, some of your individual goals has nothing to do with the overall success of the marriage.
I don't think all goals necessarily have to directly benefit the marriage, but maybe indirectly, because at the end of the day, why do I have this goal? If this goal I feel as if it's going to make me a better person, whether physically, emotionally, mentally, financially, whatever, if I'm a better person, then guess what? That is now contributing to the marriage. So I am now bringing a better version of myself to the marriage. And if it's just something, and I don't even want to say selfish, some people just, oh, well, I've just always wanted to, it might just be something that you've always wanted to accomplish.
Which is cool.
So I don't really think, exactly. So I don't think that it necessarily has to be something that directly benefits the marriage.
But you say indirectly. So in other words, truth be told, it should affect the marriage because everything affects the marriage. So that's one thing we have to agree with.
You need to be mindful of anything that could potentially be detrimental to the marriage.
Okay, so either way, it still affects the marriage. So no matter what, we have to understand that every decision that we make impacts the person that we have agreed to be with. So our goals should resemble some type of benefit to the marriage.
True.
And that's just point. Even if you say it's to make you feel better about yourself, it should benefit the marriage because a better you, a better version of you is a better version of a wife, is a better version of a mother, and that can help with vice versa, a better version of a husband. And things. So I agree with that, but reality is everything impacts. If you say you want, now...
regardless, there's going to be an impact, whether it be immediate or down the road. There's always going to be some kind of impact.
So,
I mean, something like might be like on my bucket list, like I've wanted to go skydiving. Like I just want to, just for no reason. So... So I'm just like something like that, something that just might be on your bucket list, but it still might be considered a goal to some people. So when you need to think like it's not detrimental to the marriage, but it's not benefiting them. It's not going to make me necessarily make my best self. To still discuss it, absolutely. But I guess it just goes back to not everything being whatever when it comes to the marriage.
Right. So.
All right.
Just saying.
Hey man, you want to go skydiving? I mean,
I do actually, though. But anyway,
that shooting ends wrong.
We're not gonna think like
that. Yeah, I'm not gonna think like that. But please do skydiving.
And my neck hurts. I can't even turn all the way.
I do agree that goals are very important, and I think goals. Once you decide to start moving in different phases of life with a person that you have designated that you see a future with, I think your goals should start, as we already talked about, to not only be attainable, but it should really make sense, because a lot of times we have goals and personal goals that really can be detrimental, So I think you should always have these talks. So communication is always the foundation of everything. So making sure you communicate with how you feel in the beginning, the middle, and the end, and continuous communication. One thing that we talked about was the fact of having maybe a weekly conversation where y'all can just sit down and say, okay, here's where we at, from finances all the way out to what we plan on taking on, and seeing if it benefits, because some things we get overzealous, and a lot of times we think we can take on the world because we feel like we can take on the world, when in reality you sacrifice yourself. And despite what people think, men want the same investment in them as women. not give that man that,
Right.
you can't be surprised if that man finds it somewhere else, and vice versa. Because you both want the same thing, even if you don't verbally communicate it, you still want the same thing. So communication is the key. And so what's your final thought?
I don't really have a final thought, but I did like something you said as far as like those whole weekly check-in, weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever. I think more relationships should do that, and not even just about, like goals or whatever you're working on and where we at with communication. Just checking it. Hey, how are you doing individually? How are you feeling as far as our union is concerned? Like, is there anything that you are against, not like just whatever, just finding out where that person stands and letting that be that. But again, at the end of the day, it's definitely all about communication before, during, after, in all aspects of the relationship. And not even just because we always talk about how communication is so important, but there are so many different aspects of communication, because you can think that you're communicating, like just because you're always texting or verbalizing it, but if you're not doing it in a manner that your partner comprehends and understands it, and they're still not getting it, you're not being clear on what you're saying, why that matters, then you're not effectively communicating.
That's true.
And it's not even just communication, it's just effective communication is the reason why many relationships end up failing. So a lot of us, we suck at communicating as well, and then some of it we suck at hearing. So,
how about you? Any final thoughts?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Final thoughts. No, what comes back to what I'm saying, what I'm going to say is what you all have said overall is investment. Regardless of what we say,
yes,
what we're saying, it's an investment.
Mm-hmm.
Relationships are an investment. Marriage is a serious investment.
Right.
Like I said, we talk about what's being brought to the table, how one's going to benefit off the other, regardless of how we look at it. Communication is the most important. Checking in. I guess be checking in, making sure your spouse is all right, making sure your house is in order. It's an investment. These things are vital. One's vital thing that's always missing when we don't talk about goals is we communicate about these goals.
Yeah.
Like you said, necessarily all have to be directly involved in a marriage. It can be indirect. This can lead to this and this can lead to that. So eventually this is how we benefit. And I do agree. And like I said, we got to be careful about spreading ourselves thin. But overall, like I said, we just need to be mindful of what we invest our time in.
Yeah.
We just got to make sure we're investing in the right places and the right people, especially when it comes to the marriage. We got to make sure we're always putting on, we're what's the good word? Manifesting ourselves into our investment.
I agree.
Yes.
That's it, man.
And if you think I'm crazy about the spray your stuff thin and all that, always look at it like this. When you go in the refrigerator and you take mayonnaise out and you put it on your sandwich, you spreading it. As much as you put on there, you're taking from it. What goes back in there? Nothing. So you have to go to the store and buy some more mayonnaise once that jar is empty. So you always have to replace stuff that you use. That's life.
Right. Life is a jar of mayonnaise.
Life is a jar of mayonnaise. That no black person should.
That's all we were trying to say.
But we also will like to go into our closing by saying everything we talk about is for fun and enjoyment. We like to look at it from all different angles. So we'll talk not only from a personal standpoint, but we'll also talk about it from other people's standpoints. And sometimes the way that we speak may not be how we feel, but it is something to bring to the table because there are people who feel that way.
Yeah.
So never think, this is how everybody on this channel is, because we are different and we just like to view things from differently, which is why I believe we are able to have these conversations, because we don't look at it from just one point of view. So we'd like to thank you, Ms. Victoria, for being on the show. Now tell us about this project you have going on and the great things you're doing this month of December.
The remaining month of December.
Right.
I didn't realize I had a project going on. But I would assume that you were talking about the Christmas sponsorship program. It's not necessarily a project, but it is part of course, God is Love Incorporated. As far as God is Love Incorporated is concerned, but we had been taking applications in order to help those who are just, financially maybe going through something and who were unable to make, Christmas a magical day for their families. So of course we've already closed the deadline as far as applications, but we are still taking donations and sponsors for anyone who was looking to support and make a difference in the lives of different families here in Charleston. But you can do that at godisloveinc.org/God's Angels.
Okay, so when are you making the decision about the families, or you made the decision about the families and going into the next phase?
Everything, yeah. So right now what I'm doing is still trying to match, sponsors and families, and then looking, of course, at monetary donations that are coming in to see what we can, of course, from there purchase. But I'm finalizing everything by Wednesday.
All right, so there you have it. So if you still want to donate, you want to be a sponsor, please get involved. This community can use help, and help not just to be handing out, but to hand up to make sure everybody gets taken care of this season. Anything you want to add? Anything you're doing special?
Well, see, two things. Let's see. I'll be leaving here and heading to Beaufort, South Carolina, to be part of the wreath ceremony due at the national cemeteries around the country. I think it starts at 12. At the National Cemetery in Beaufort, I will be there until certain wreaths are covered. Certain grave sites have wreaths this afternoon. That'll be doing that. Also, James Allen Nutrition on Folly Road is doing a Christmas party from 9 to 2. A Christmas party. So, they said they have cookies, prizes, vendors.
No more partying for me.
It's not that kind of party.
Oh, okay.
But you can stop. You probably can do some of that nutrition. So, but yeah, that's pretty much I got going. I might pop my head in for about an hour or so once I'm done here, and then head to Beaufort and hang out there for a little while and come back, and that'll be it for my day. That's it, man. What about you?
I will be volunteering with the distinguished gentleman at North Charleston Elementary, handing out groceries to families for the Christmas. And I'll be assisting you once you finalize that list. And check on black men and men in general during this holiday season. We do check on women, and we make sure women are taken care of. But there are black men in our society right now who don't have families or can't spend time with their children for various reasons, and you need to check up on them. So please, check up on the men. If you care and you love the men in your lives, check up on them, because they do commit suicide. And this is a time frame where you see a lot of men commit suicide. And if you've been watching the news lately, a lot of men been killing the mothers of their children. So please check up on these men and check up on the people you care about.
Yes. Holiday blues and seasonal depression is a real thing.
Yes. And with that, we're going to close out. We'd like to say thank you to 2xposu.com, Darren Ray, to the lovely Miss Victoria, of course, William Coleman, Let the Madness Begin, everybody that's on the beautiful 2xposu.com site. Please check them out. Oh, by the way, it's a big secret. I don't know what it is, but it's called Roku, and it's going to be big, and look at it for 2022. I'm not saying nothing else because people might be like, I don't want you to get hard yet. But thank y'all. Be blessed, and we're out. Mwah.